we would go all over this lake, and this one time, we basically poled our way over top a beaver dam, a number of beaver dams, and because lots of little tributaries, you would go up in the boat, and you would have to go past the beaver dam, and there was fish up there, good fish up there, and of course that's what the beaver liked, right? Actually, I heard that they didn't actually eat that much fish, but I don't know if that's true. But anyway, on the way back, a storm started kicking up, and we had to get going. And we're like, hang on. and Dad just gives it the gas and starts flying towards that beaver dam. And we're like,
what?
Are we pulling over it? He's like, storm's coming. We got to go. And as soon as he hit it, he grabbed the motor. He lifted the motor up.
What?
And we just, it's not like we were totally airborne or something like that, but we did come out of the water over that beaver dam. And then as soon as we cleared it, he just dropped the motor and we kept going.
Gosh,
So,
was there not like the other way around was slower or something, or are you just having fun?
once the storm kicks up and you're far from home,
Yeah, you got to get going.
you got to go
Okay,
because you don't want to be
that's funny.
on the shore
Yeah,
at night up there. The bear.
that's funny. I've never heard you
moose.
tell me about that one.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of fishing stories from Canada, but not that one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, speaking of Grandpa, I actually was curious, like, I have, like, the word legacy written on my notes, which I like to think about a lot lately. Any, like, and I've talked to you about how I almost feel like my legacy is, like, more connected to Grandpa than yours for some odd reason. I'm not sure. And I think that'll change over time, but I don't know. I feel like a responsibility to carry on what he's done. And I really feel like when I think about him, I think, wow, he's gone through hardships like me, but probably harder. And what was it for? To make you and then to make me and then, right? And then here I am. And every time I'm like, maybe I'll hang out, maybe I'll chill, maybe I'll have a fun life, maybe I'll do like easy stuff. Like Grandpa did fun, easy stuff too, but at the same time, like he risked his life and he worked his ass off and this and that, like just to get us here, right, to this point. And I don't think he did that just to get us to this good enough. Like what's that one saying that there's like some song that Kim Kardashian is in, and she's like, I didn't make it this far just to make it this far. And I think about that like a lot. Like, I just think about how hard he has lived. And then here I am, like, going to Cedar Point, riding roller coasters, or, buying a car instead of investing the money, or like, not that I waste my money, but like, or I waste my time that much. Not that I do either one, but when I do those things, I feel like a responsibility to carry his legacy on. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
where do you get your legacy play?
He-
What do you think about it? Do you think about it with Grandpa? Like
he worked
yourself?
hard, but he knew how to live life too. He enjoyed life and still does to this day.
Yeah.
So, he keeps things light to this day. He's been through a lot here in his 80s, but he still keeps things light, right? And he enjoys life and tries not to take it too serious, but always, using your term, pushes the ball forward, right? So, I remember when I was one of the many times when he was on crutches or just got home from knee surgery or something of that nature. I remember I took a wood burning kit, took a 4x4. I cut the corner of the 4x4 off at a 45-degree angle. I took the wood burning kit and I wrote some inscription on there to the most amazing ball player that ever lived, something of that nature. And I took a baseball and I glued it right to the top. And that was sort of my tribute to my dad, because usually he was playing ball or something when he got hurt. One time he got hurt playing basketball and blamed it on me giving him a cheap shot, right?
Yeah.
But, Yeah.
And you had to play basketball on gravel. That sounds rough.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
what do you like? What's your what is your legacy? Do you think about your own legacy more than grandpa's, or because like for me, like I think about my legacy. What I don't think about my legacy at all. I'm trying to think if I ever do. I mean, I guess I do like a little bit, but I think when I think of my legacy, I think of like picking the ball up for grandpa. I think of his legacy and like I have a responsibility to him. I have a responsibility to the Adam name.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think about like how someone else is going to carry on my legacy or like how I'm pushing
Yeah.
my legacy forward. If I'm pushing my legacy forward, I'm thinking, no, I'm pushing grandpa's forward.
Yeah.
And I think eventually it'll switch to I'm pushing my dad's legacy forward.
I get that.
Right now, I feel connected to grandpa for some reason there. But like when you push your legacy forward, who are you pushing it forward for? Someone else or you?
Yeah, it's a fair question.
I don't know.
For me, I don't ever feel like I'm pushing it for me, ever.
Yeah.
I just don't feel that way.
Yeah, me neither.
It's funny you mentioned about the grandfather thing though, because I felt very connected to my grandfather over a lot of years. Always very connected to my father, but something about my grandfather, and I see it in my father as well. My grandfather, I feel like, was like this John Wayne type, a man, right? Not like, you know, there's a question. This guy was a man, and he was taking care of his family,
Yeah.
and doing whatever it takes. And if that meant working in a machine shop, or being a realtor, or being a security guard, or whatever it was, he kept pushing forward. He, you know, and when I was young, we lived with him for a while, for a number of years. So, you know, got a lot of time, understand, you know, right is right, wrong is wrong, and let's quit blurring the lines on things, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't see that today, and that's something I miss. I miss the things that I see that don't blur the lines. They're very clear on right is right, right? And no matter what, we're going to do what's right. And, you know, I see that from my grandfather, and I see that from my father as well. And, I feel like that's part of what I carry on. So
For your grandpa?
from my grandfather and my father. But it is funny.
Is there one more than the other?
It's funny you're saying it this way, because years ago I thought I had more of a connection to my grandfather,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like I've got more of his style, more of his walk, more of his lankiness.
Yeah.
And, over the years, I feel like I have a lot of my father's, maybe just as much.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of bizarre. Just like you're saying, you feel very connected to your grandfather, but you think that'll evolve. Yeah, I think it will too. And
Yeah.
because that's been my experience as well.
Okay. And now it's shifting more into your dad over the last like few decades.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably a natural
but I've
process.
always been close to my dad, but that's not really what we're talking about. It's
Yeah.
just kind of this connection,
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I look in the mirror, and for a lot of years I would see my grandfather more than my father. Right? I knew it's pretty obvious I'm my father's son. But I remember living with my grandfather. I remember, I have pictures of my grandfather, and to this day, I look at how I look at how my grandfather looked, and I'm like, yeah, I look a lot like my grandfather.
Yeah. And they don't want us to feel pressure, but they also don't want us to waste our lives because they gave it to us.
Mm-hmm. But I'm sure they want us to have a balance of hard work, and that earns hard play.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I know Grandpa would say that. Walk slow and drink a lot of water. One step in front of the other. These are all things that Grandpa would say, right?
Yeah.
One step, or it's not one step in front of the other. It's like, oh, just keep moving your feet.
Mhm.
That's what he says
Just
all the
keep
time.
moving.
Just keep moving.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to do something? Oh, just keep moving your feet.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of days like reselling furniture, where like,
And when you were little, he'd say, "Put a sock in it."
yeah, put a sock. Yeah, put a sock in it. I've probably heard that at least 200 times from him in my life. Put a sock in it. I mean, shut up. Shut up, little kid, and respect your elders. And it actually doesn't even mean that. It's like more playful than that.
Yeah.
It's more like, ah ha ha, shut up, you don't know anything, you little kid. With like a big, like heartfelt hug and smile. That's what it's like. Mom would always be like, I don't like when he says that sometimes. But I feel like men, like I remember being a little boy and Mom would be like, I don't always love when your dad says like, put a sock in it, right? But I always knew even as a kid, it was like Grandpa hugging me and being like, shut up. You don't know anything. And like in a good way, you know? It's like, and as a little kid, you also know like, okay, well, I should probably humble myself a little bit to this guy.